So I want you to picture a studio apartment. It's pretty small, maybe a little cramped.
Right.
It's got a kitchen, a fold-out sofa, a TV. On the surface, it looks, completely normal.
Like a place you'd stay for a weekend.
Exactly. Except for one very creepy detail.
The 3 robotic cameras bolted to the walls.
Right. And the microphone's hanging from the ceiling. And the one-way mirror. This is the Love Lab.
At the University of Washington. And for years, the researchers, John Gottman and Nan Silver, they used this setup to basically perform high-tech surveillance on married couples.
It sounds a bit like a reality show.
Big Brother, Marriage Edition, yeah. But the purpose was incredibly serious. They weren't just watching people order pizza. They were looking for the actual, anatomy of a relationship.
And they didn't just watch.
No. They strapped these couples with Holter monitors. They took blood samples. They measured sweat output.
Which is so intense. I mean, can you imagine trying to have a normal argument with your spouse while you're wired up like that?
It's a total pressure cooker. But that's what they wanted. They wanted the hard data, the physiological proof of what love and, hate actually looks like in the body. They studied 700 couples this way.
And all of that data led to this claim that, honestly, when I first read it, I thought, okay, this has to be marketing. Gottman says that by watching a couple for just 5 minutes, he can predict with 91% accuracy if they're going to get a divorce.
91%.
That seems impossibly high for something as messy as human emotion.
It is uncomfortably high. It sort of implies we aren't as mysterious as we think we are.
Yeah.
But the reason he can hit that number is because he isn't looking for why they're fighting.
Right. He doesn't care if it's about money or sex or the in-laws.
Exactly. He's looking for how they fight.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. We're looking at Gottman and Silver's classic, The 7 Principles for Making Marriage Work. We're going to strip away, the grandmother's advice.
Yeah.
Look at the raw data of why relationships fail and what makes them succeed.
And a quick warning. Some of this is going to contradict everything you've ever heard about, like active listening.
That was the first thing that jumped out at me. I feel like every therapist in the world says, you need to use I statements. I hear that you're frustrated about the dishes.
I feel your pain.
Yeah. But Gottman says that in the heat of a real argument, that advice it's basically garbage.
It's not just garbage, it's impossible. He found that even the masters of marriage, the happy couples, they almost never use those techniques when they're actually angry. The secret isn't how you fight.
It's the quality of the friendship when you're not fighting.
That's the whole game.
Okay, so we'll get to the friendship part, but first we have to look at the train wrecks. Gottman found 4 specific negative patterns. He calls them the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
It's a dramatic name, but it's statistically accurate, and they usually arrive in a specific order. It all starts with horseman number 1, criticism.
Now, we have to make a distinction here, right? Because complaining is normal. If I come home and the kitchen is a mess, I'm going to complain.
And you should, but there's a huge difference between a complaint and a criticism.
Yeah.
A complaint is about a specific action. You didn't sweep the floor. That's a fact.
Okay.
Criticism is when you make it about their character.
So you didn't sweep the floor becomes, why are you so lazy? You just don't care.
Precisely. It goes from you did a bad thing to you are a bad person. And that attack opens the door for the second and honestly the deadliest horseman, contempt.
Gottman calls this the single best predictor of divorce.
It's the sulfuric acid of love. Contempt isn't just anger, it's disgust. It's talking down to your partner. It's sarcasm, name-calling, and the most universal sign, the eye roll.
The eye roll is lethal.
The eye roll says, I am so much better than you. This is where the biology comes in. Remember those Holter monitors?
Yeah.
Contempt literally destroys the immune system of the person receiving it.
Wait, what? You can make your partner sick by being mean.
Literally. The data showed that partners on the receiving end of contempt got more infectious illnesses, colds, the flu over the next 4 years. You are stressing their body to the point where it can't fight off germs.
That is actually terrifying.
It is.
Okay, so if you're being attacked with contempt, naturally you bring out horseman 3, defensiveness.
Which makes sense. You're saying, the problem isn't me, it's you. But it never works. It just escalates everything. Well, I wouldn't have to yell if you weren't so annoying.
Right. Which brings us to the 4th horseman, the one who just checks out.
Stonewalling.
Yeah, this is the partner who just tunes out, looks away, picks up their phone, acts like an impassive stone wall.
And the data shows a massive gender split here.
It's huge. 85% of the stonewallers in the studies were men.
So the easy conclusion there is that men just don't care. They're avoiding emotion.
That's what it looks like, indifference. But the physiology tells a totally different story. Gottman calls it flooding.
What's happening inside the stonewaller's body? Well, when a conflict starts, men's cardiovascular systems tend to be more reactive. Their heart rates jump faster and stay high longer. And when a man is stonewalling, his heart rate is usually over 100 beats per minute. He's in a full fight or flight response.
So he's not calm. He is overwhelmed.
He's shell-shocked.
Yeah.
And once your heart rate passes that 100 BPM threshold, your brain literally stops processing information. You can't listen. You lose your sense of humor. So stonewalling isn't an act of cruelty. It's a biological defense mechanism. He's trying not to explode.
Wow. So you're not yelling at a stone wall. You're yelling at someone who is physiologically drowning.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the four horsemen. Bad news. But let's flip it. What did the happy couples do? Did they just not fight?
Oh, they fought. They fought plenty. But they had what Gottman calls emotionally intelligent marriages. And it's all built on friendship, on something called positive sentiment override.
Which sounds like a fancy way of saying giving someone the benefit of the doubt.
That's all it is. It means your positive thoughts about the relationship are so strong that they just, well, they override the negative feelings. If your partner snaps at you, you think, wow, they must have had a bad day.
Instead of, they're a jerk and they hate me.
Right. And you build that override through specific principles. The first one is enhancing your love maps.
A love map.
It's basically the space in your brain where you store all the details about your partner. Do you know their friends' names? What's stressing them out at work right now? What are their hopes, their dreams?
There is that tragic example in the book of Dr. Rory.
Oh, yeah, the pediatrician.
Yeah.
On paper, a great guy. Beloved at the hospital, but at home, he didn't know the name of his own family dog.
That's wild.
He didn't know where the back door of his house was. His love map was totally empty. And of course, that marriage just fell apart.
And these maps, they're like insurance against stress. There was that stat about having a baby.
Yes, this is huge.
Yeah.
The sources show that 67%, two-thirds of couples, see a major drop in marital satisfaction after their first kid is born.
That is a depressing number.
It is. It's the stress, the sleep deprivation. But the 33% who didn't see that drop, the ones who stayed strong or even got better,
And let me guess. They had deep love maps.
they had deep love maps before the baby arrived. They knew each other's worlds so well that the chaos couldn't break them.
Okay, so principle 1 is know your partner. Principle 2 is nurture fondness and admiration. This feels like the direct antidote to contempt.
It is. It's actively looking for the good. And there's a fascinating test for this, the history test. Gottman found that how a couple tells the story of their past predicts their future.
So if they talk about how they met with a glow, they're good. If they're eye-rolling about the wedding,
It's the tone. If they rewrite history negatively, if they focus on how the flowers were wilted instead of the joy, it means the fondness is gone, the friendship is dying.
okay, moving to principle 3, and this is my favorite because I'm small. Turn toward each other.
This is all about bids for attention. And they're not grand gestures. They are tiny, mundane moments.
Like the example from the book. A guy comments on a boat.
Exactly. The husband looks out the window and says, wow, look at that boat. It's a bid. He's not really talking about the boat. He's saying, hey, connect with me for a second.
And the partner has a choice.
A choice. You can turn toward and say, yeah, that's cool. Or you can turn away and ignore him. And in the lab, the difference between the masters and the disasters, it all came down to those tiny moments.
It's the emotional bank account.
That's it. Every time you turn toward a bid, you put a penny in the bank. So when you have a big fight later, you have savings to draw from.
Which brings us to power. Principle 4 is let your partner influence you. And guys listening, this is where the data gets stark.
It is incredibly stark. Marriages where the husband resists sharing power are 4 times more likely to fail.
4 times. That is a massive number.
It is. Gottman found an 81% chance the marriage will be damaged if a man is unwilling to share decision-making.
There was that story about the guy buying a car. The salesman mocks him for having to call his wife.
Right, he says, oh, gotta ask the boss. But the data says the man who consults his wife has the stronger marriage. It's about accepting influence. And the sources suggest women are, well, they're generally better at this because of how we play as kids.
Evolution of play.
Yeah. Sociological studies show that boys' games are about the game. Rules, winning. Girls' games are often about the relationship, playing house, being friends. So if someone gets upset, the game stops to fix the relationship. It gives women a head start in emotional intelligence.
So accepting influence is key. But what about when you just disagree. This leads to principle 5, solve your solvable problems. But I want to pause on that word, solvable.
Please do.
Because I think the most shocking statistic in this whole thing, for me, was that most of our problems aren't solvable.
This is the number that makes people gasp. 69%, almost 70% of all marital conflicts are perpetual problems.
So the things you're fighting about today, messiness, money,
Yeah.
in-laws.
You will probably still be fighting about them in 10 years,
And
in 20 years.
that sounds so depressing. Are we just doomed to be miserable?
No, and that's the whole point. The masters of marriage didn't solve these problems. They didn't fix the fact that one's an introvert and one's an extrovert. They just learned how to live with it without hurting each other.
So the goal isn't resolution, it's regulation.
Exactly. If you try to solve a personality difference, you get stuck in what Gottman calls gridlock, the same fight, over and over. The happy couples acknowledge the problem, maybe even joke about it, but they don't let it destroy their connection.
So if you're listening and you're having the same argument for the 50th time, that's normal.
It is perfectly normal. The toxicity isn't the problem itself, it's the gridlock you create around it. You have to understand the dream underneath the conflict. Maybe one partner wants to save money not because they're cheap, but because they grew up poor and crave security.
That takes so much pressure off. You don't have to fix everything.
You really don't.
Okay, let's talk about the fix, because the sources mention a specific recipe. The magic 5 hours.
Surprisingly little time.
5 hours a week. Less than an hour a day to really, save your marriage.
And it's not therapy. It's tiny, manageable chunks. The first one is partings. 2 minutes a day. Before you leave, do you know one specific thing happening in your partner's day?
Not just have a good day, but good luck with that presentation.
Exactly. It shows you're holding their world in your mind. Then, at the end of the day, you have reunions. This one is 20 minutes. And there's a huge trap here.
The fix-it trap. I am so guilty of this.
We all are. Your partner is venting about their horrible boss, and we immediately say, well, here's what you need to do.
Which is the worst thing you can do.
It fails every time. The rule is, understanding must precede advice. You just have to take their side. Even if they're wrong, it has to be us against the world.
That sounds awful. I can't believe he said that.
That's it. That's all they need in that moment.
Okay, so partings, reunions, what else?
Admiration and appreciation. 5 minutes a day, just a simple, genuine, thank you for making coffee.
Affection is another one.
5 more minutes. Physical touch, kissing, holding hands. It releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone.
And the last piece, the anchor, is the weekly date.
2 hours a week. Low pressure connection time. And the big rule here is no talking about problems.
So no mortgage, no kid schedules, no leaky roof.
None of it. This is for updating those love maps. Ask open-ended questions. How are you really feeling about your job? It keeps the friendship alive.
And if you add that up, it's 5 hours.
5 hours a week for a pretty incredible ROI.
It really just comes down to the micro moments.
It is. It's the small things.
Yeah.
Happily married couples aren't smarter or richer. They just have a dynamic that keeps the positive thoughts louder than the negative ones.
Before we wrap, I want to leave you with my favorite concept from the whole book. It's a bit graphic. The marital poop detector.
It's a classic Gottmanism.
Yeah. We're often told to be happy. You should lower your expectations.
And the data says the exact opposite. The couples with the happiest marriages actually have the highest expectations. They have a very sensitive poop detector. When something smells just a little bit off, a little negativity, they notice it immediately.
They address the problem while it's still small.
Exactly. They don't let it pile up. They fix it while it's manageable. High standards lead to better treatment.
So don't lower your standards. Expect a great friendship. And maybe, just for today, make one small bid for connection. Ask about the boat.
Or the bleach. It might be the most important thing you do all day.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll catch you on the next one.